Hi guys! I apologize ahead of time because I don't have an intro for this. But I wanted to do kind of like a introduction for people who are just getting into makeup or want to take the next level up from Walmart or CVS. Um, I've been getting a lot of requests for this for a while. I do give advice to people who like kind of want to move up from Walmart to like move up to the next step. And I just kind of want to do a beginner guide kind of thing. So I have no notes on this. This is all from my experience and just because I have these like ideas. It's not my ideas, some of it's fact. This is just what I've seen with just personal experience. So some people may agree, some people may not. Honestly, it's depending on your skin and what you like. This is just basic info. Is all I can say. Instead of having to repeat myself, I just have a video, and it makes it a lot easier. I keep looking down. There's nothing here. I do have a drink, just in case I get a little winded, but there's nothing here. I'm just realizing how dirty my desk is, even though I just cleaned it. Anyway, trying to stay focused. Trying to stay focused nowadays is very difficult. And yes, the elephant in the room, my hair is wet. It is still drying. I just took a shower. And yes, I am wearing a shirt. Okay? Whoa, a little close. I am wearing a shirt. It's there. It's just the way I have the camera angled. It's just kind of like... Okay, but I am wearing a shirt. You see that. Okay. Whew, I gotta fix myself. See, it's very difficult trying to fit in a tight space when you're fat. It's just doesn't work. Thunder thighs just don't want to work with you, so I gotta move them over. This is what you don't see on camera in my videos before I get started. Anyway, so first off, there are 3 main different skin types. One is considered a 4th, but I kind of count it as like 3. So the first skin, why is my shoulder itching? My shoulder's itching. I'm sorry, I'm very unfocused. Okay, so the first skin type is oily skin. So obviously for oily skin, you look like a grease ball. That's what I used to look like. I used to look like a grease ball, and well, nothing's really changed. But for oily skin, basically, there's just an overabundance of oil. And so makeup doesn't last as long on them, which I'll show you how it does. But makeup doesn't usually last as long because the oils usually break down the makeup and then they look like a grease ball at the end of the day. Dry skin is the second type. So dry skin is the opposite. Dry skin, you look like bones. So you're dry. Like, it's terrible. Now, I have dry skin to combination skin. Depends on the day. But normally dry skin is just super dry. Like it looks like they got scales. Some people look like they have scales. That's not offensive. That's the truth. I'm brutally honest. Some people look like they have scales. Okay. So, basically for drier skin, a lot of foundations, their makeup stays on all day. But then after a while, it looks like they have dry skin. Like, makeup stays on their face, and you can see the dry patches and everything. I know in some of my videos you've probably seen it. I don't care. The third type, which I count as like a third and fourth, I kind of combine them together. It's literally normal to combination skin. So, normal skin, you're lucky. You don't have any problems. You may not be perfect, but you're still lucky because you won't have to deal with big problems. Combination skin is basically where you have a combination of those skin types in your face. So me, I have dry skin. Some days I have oily skin depending on the humidity because it's hot. And then towards my T-zone, I'm oily. Around in here, I'm pretty dry. Up in here, I'm pretty dry. Like all up in here. It's probably because I talk way too much, so I have dry skin around my mouth because I'm sucking all the moisture out. But, and also sometimes I have normal skin, so sometimes I don't have any problems. Now you can see I have breakouts. I'll turn on light. Breakout. That's just my face. Yeah. So, now we got that out of the way. So if you already know your skin type, you're good. You already know what you're looking for, but kind of. I have no idea where I was going with this. Okay, here we go. Okay. Alright, I got it. So, the first thing when you do your makeup is whether you have primer or no primer. So, all primer is basically, it's kind of like a glue for your face. Oh, it's not gonna sound right. It basically makes your makeup last longer. It's like primer for paint. That's literally what it is. For some people's skin, it doesn't help them and they don't believe in it, so they just use no primer, which is fine. You know, you do you. And then there's some people who use primer. I use primer to make the makeup last longer. Because back in the day, I was a college student. Okay, not that long ago. I just recently graduated. But I used primer because I was wearing makeup for like 12, 14, 16 hours a day. So I had to wear primer. So, it depends on your skin. Now, from what I've seen, primer for oily skin, for combo skin, you definitely want a primer because primer will help you. Trust me, primer will help you. Because since oily skin has an overabundance of oil, the primer, what it does is it has oil controlling stuff. And if you have oilier skin, hold on, wait. There is, where's it at? This is my favorite matte primer. This is from Ulta. This will keep your face looking matte. Okay? Now, for combination skin, it really depends on whether you're oily or dry. That's basically it. Now, for drier to combination skin, you definitely, for dry skin, if you do not need a primer, if you do not want primer, if you do use primer because you want to make it last, use a hydrating primer. So I have this one from Ulta. Not sponsored. My favorite one is this one. It's the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. It's the one that has cannabis in it, okay? I'm not a weed smoker. I'm not really into weed, but leaving that where it is. Okay, so, but honestly, it depends on your skin. Actually, I'm bringing out examples because I'm smart. Now, I'm just bringing out examples of what you can use. Now, when I said I have a huge foundation collection, this is only a little bit of it, but I have more stuff on the way. Anyway, so honestly, if you're going to use primer, then go ahead and try it out. If you see that it doesn't make your makeup last any longer, don't bother using it. But if you see that it makes a difference, use it. Okay, next is foundation. So there are two types of foundation. There's a water-based foundation and there are silicone-based foundations. I use both interchangeably. Okay, let me just break this down. Water-based foundations are basically mostly water. And the way you can tell if a foundation is water-based, that's a refined one. Okay. Oh, you can't see that, can you? Okay. Well, this is my LA Girl Pro Coverage, the white foundation to lighten up. foundations. Trying to find one that's water-based. Oh, this one's water-based. Okay. We'll use this one instead, because this one you might be able to see. It's right there. Oh, it's right there. Okay. Well, the way you can tell if a foundation is water-based or silicone-based is you look at the ingredients, and if the first ingredient that you see is water, then it is water-based. If you see that it is something else with cone at the end, like silicone or cytosilicone, there's a lot of silicone. If it has cone at the end, then it's silicone-based. So that's one thing you gotta keep in mind. Now there's also different types of foundations. There's matte foundations and there's dewy foundations. So matte foundations obviously are for matte. So if you want to look matte at the end of the day, then use that one. Those are intended for people with oily skin or people with combo skin or people who just like to mix things together. We'll get to that later. So dewy foundations are what, if you have drier skin, they will make you look dewy at the end of the day. So you won't look like a dry patch of ashes. Been there, done it. Don't do that. And then there are some that are kind of in the middle that say they're satin. So satin foundations are basically a mixture of matte and dewy. It's kind of like in the middle, like a natural look. So my favorite water-based foundation. This is just my favorite. This may not be, made for everyone. This is made for me. This is just an example if you want to try out some stuff. Now, this is not drugstore. This is Ulta. This is the Born This Way foundation by Too Faced. This is in the shade Cloud, which is the lightest shade, which is my exact shade, which is very sad. It's very sad. My favorite matte foundation is, well, I have two now, but I used to only have one. So this is the Huda Beauty foundation. This is in the shade Angel Food, which is a little dark for me, so I got vanilla. But this is water-based also. But this is nice. It's pretty matte. And then this is also water-based. So this is the Juvia's Place foundation. This is their new one that came out. This is in the shade Isla 730, if you go by numbers. If you go by names, then it's Isla. But this is really, 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 really matte. Like, this is matte. And this is full coverage. So, another thing is that you want to be careful with, well, we'll get to that later. My favorite silicone, well, this is water-based, but let's see, where's my silicone-based? One of my favorite silicone-based foundations is this one, which is Maybelline Super Fit, Super Stay foundation. This one is drugstore. This is at Walmart. Another one, that's not really... I'm trying to find another one. Oh, stick foundations are also silicone-based. So, these two, the Maybelline Super Stay, and this is the Makeup Revolution Fast Base Stick. Yeah. So, both of these are basically foundations in stick form. So, I mean, I don't have a lot left, you can tell. But this is basically foundation in a stick. Now, drag queens, they use the Krylon. Let me rephrase that. Some of them use a Krylon paint stick. Now, that is basically a full coverage foundation in a stick. I mean, there's many primers or many foundations, and one thing you want to keep in mind is that when you have a primer, you have to make sure you use the right primer. So, let's say I have Let's just use this one, because I used this one in the beginning. So this is the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 thing. This is at Walmart. So say I want to use this foundation. So this foundation is water-based. So I want to make sure, out of all the primers that I have, because I have a lot, that I used a water-based primer. So this is my favorite one so far, is this one right here. This is one of them. This one and the milk one are my favorite out of being water-based. So these two go together. Now, if you're using a silicone-based foundation, so say I want to use my stick foundation, then I have to make sure that I use a silicone-based primer. So one of my favorites is this one here. This is the L'Oreal Magic Perfecting Base. I don't know if you can see that. This is at Walmart too. And so this is literally silicone, thicker, gel-like. Yeah, so just keep that in mind. If you are oily skin, make sure you go towards matte foundations, because those are specifically made to help control oil. If you have combo skin, you can kind of get away with both, as far as either or, depending on what you like and depending on what you don't like. So yeah, I'm going to put all this stuff away, because it's going to be a very long video, unfortunately. But it's a lot to it. Okay. Another thing is drugstore and Ulta, Sephora, or higher end makeup. So the main difference between drugstore and high end is obviously price. So drugstore's starting to go up in price, but I don't really shop drugstore anymore. So before we get into this, because this is going to be a long talk. Okay. Whew, that's so good. It's just ginger ale, but it's so good. Okay. So drugstore is obviously cheaper than high end. But to break everything down, drugstore is basically made for people who can't afford the higher end makeup, but they still want makeup. So yes, that is a pro. The con is the ingredients that they use to keep up with higher brands and to keep up with competition. There's a lot of very dangerous ingredients. One of those ingredients is called dimethicone. If you haven't heard it by now, it's okay. You can research it, do the whole thing. Okay? Dimethicone, no bueno. Meaning no good. For people who don't understand Spanish. It's no good. So, yes, it's cheaper for the price, but you also have to think about your safety, because you are putting this on your skin. Now, higher end makeup is a lot better for you. Yes, it is a little more expensive, but you don't have to use as much of it. Meaning, if you want full coverage, you'll get full coverage. Now, a lot of drugstore companies say they're full coverage and all that stuff. From experience, I know that not a lot of drugstore foundations go by their word. They just lie right to your face. I have had issues in the past with drugstore makeup. I have had allergic reactions. I just choose not to get drugstore anymore as much. If there's something new, I might try it. If I don't like it, I'll just give it away. I'm mostly an Ulta and Sephora person. Yes, it is a lot of money, but I am putting this on my skin, okay? I mean, I already look ugly. I don't need to look uglier. So I had it in my head what I was going to say. I'm still dealing with repercussions of the concussion, so my head's a little slow. Oh, higher end. Okay. So for higher end makeup, basically what it breaks down to, and why a lot of makeup artists go with higher end makeup, is because they don't have to use so much of it. So when you use a foundation from a higher brand, you only maybe need 1 or 2 pumps in order to get decent coverage. When you go to drugstore, a lot of the times they don't have a pump on the foundations. So you kind of have to dump it out on your hand, and then it just makes a mess. Another thing is a lot of makeup artists would go through drugstore foundations like that. So yes, it's cheap. It's cheaper to get drugstore, but for makeup artists and for people who wear makeup almost every day like me, we go through drugstore makeup like that. Like, that's it. Like, I had a true story. I used to get the Maybelline Fit Me, the little one. I went through that in maybe 2 weeks because I wore makeup every single day. And so I am shaking the table. Sorry about that. So every single day I wore that foundation. I mean, I thought it was beautiful, but see, I was going through it like this. And yes, it is $6, but I was spending more getting it than just going ahead and getting higher end foundations and using those. So, now, if you're the average person who works at, say, a fast food restaurant or something and just wants to put on a little quick something but can't afford the higher end makeup, then yeah, that works for you. But for people like me who are trying to get into the makeup industry and do people's makeup and stuff like that, you also have to think about what you are putting on your client's skin. So when you're putting drugstore makeup on their skin, you have to be extra cautious, because even though the label says it's putting something on there, well, this is with any makeup. Just because it shows up on the bottle doesn't mean that it's actually being put into the foundation. You don't know what ingredients are being put in there. It may list it on the label that something's in there, but you don't see the other ingredients that aren't listed. And God forbid, if you're working on a client and you're doing their makeup and they break out in an allergic reaction, because that happened to me. I don't know what ingredient it was. I don't even know if the ingredient's listed on the bottle. But anyway, just keep that in mind. You doing makeup, you are putting makeup on your skin. And your skin, everybody's skin is different. Whether it's matte, dry, oily, combo, whatever. Everybody's skin chemistry is different. So you also have to take into consideration that when you try out new products, the first couple times that you do it, it's going to feel weird. It's going to be like a light burn and stuff because your skin's not used to it. And after a while, it gets used to it. But if you notice, like, it's intense, like your face is on fire, that means you're having an allergic reaction and you need to get it off your face. And a thing that I've learned is when I go to Ulta or when I go to Sephora, is also another big difference. Let me just say this. In drugstore, you can't test swatch anything. Not in drugstore. But when you go to Ulta and Sephora, you can test stuff on your hand and shade match and everything. But in drugstore, you can't do that. I don't know why. And online, don't bother trying to buy online. Look, go in store, go in person, and test swatch yourself. Trust me, it's worth it. Anyway, so people don't seem to realize how dangerous skin allergies are. It gets bad. Like, I've had scary experiences when I tried my foundations and my skin broke out worse than this. This is just a breakout because, it's women's stuff. But I had a breakout so bad it went all across my face. Here, it went patches all over my face. And I honestly think it damaged my skin. Yeah. So just be extra cautious. And a lot of times why I think Ulta and Sephora are also doing test swatches is because you're paying so much money for it. You want to make sure you get the right shade, you get the right foundation for you. You want to make sure that you don't have an allergic reaction before you spend $39 on a foundation. Yeah. A lot of higher end foundations range between, I would say, like $26 to $40 average. Now, there are some brands that will charge you $60, $70 for a foundation, and I'm like, huh? No, thank you. I don't make that kind of money. But on average, for higher end, it's usually $26 to $40. Really good ones. A drugstore nowadays range from like $5 to like maybe 15, maybe 18, depending on where you go. So, if you are going from drugstore, say you've been going to Walmart and you want to move up the chain, the best way to move up the chain is to just go straight to Ulta. Because Ulta is basically your next stop. Now, you can go to Target. Target's kind of considered drugstore, but they normally have more brands that are kind of like moving up the chain. So, there's a brand called Profusion. They originally started out, I believe, at Five Below. And then they moved into Target and started moving up the chain. And they may even go into Ulta. Who knows? I don't know. Who knows? So, the best thing for you to do is to go from Walmart straight into Ulta. Because if you try to do baby steps in, the thing is like, you're basically stuck in, like, a cycle. So, you're not going to make that effort to go up the chain. If you know what I'm saying. It probably doesn't make sense, but for people who have been trying to go to better places, the best place to go is Ulta. Ulta does offer more higher end brands than Sephora does. Now, there are some brands at Sephora that I love, Fenty being one of them. So, there's some brands that are offered at Sephora that aren't offered at Ulta, which is why I shop at both. I love Ulta, I love Sephora, so, kind of getting a mixture of both. Another thing is when you do go to Ulta or Sephora, they do have testers there. So, if you want to try out this new foundation, first things first, never swatch on your face. Never, ever, 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 ever. Unless you're experienced. Ever. The best advice that I can give you is you take a tiny amount. You take the tester. You take a tiny amount and you put it on your wrist and on the back of your hand. If you start to feel burning or itching or anything like that, take it off. That is not good for your skin. Now, there have been situations where people are like, well, I've gone and I've tried all these foundations and they all burn and stuff. And itch and whatever. If that is the case, then what it may mean is that your skin is just not used to it and it throws your body off and it's like, whoa, what is this? This is not normal. That's not a big deal. You just look for the foundation you're looking for. And at Sephora, I know you can get little testers. They're like, I'll show you one. Sephora has little testers like this. This is the Tatcha skin cream, but they have little testers like this where they will pump the foundation in and you can test it on your face to see if it'll break you out or not. Which I've never had to do personally. I just bought full bottle and just went for it. Not the smartest thing to do, but at this point, there's not a lot fixing this face, so why not? But if you're the type of person who has sensitive skin, there are foundations that are made for sensitive skin. For example, I have, this is the It Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Cream. This is it. Now don't get it twisted, okay? This, it says CC Cream. But this is the fullest coverage CC cream I have ever tried. And it lasts on my skin. And it has SPF 50. So this, if you're going to go for a foundation and you have sensitive skin, my best advice is to try this first. Because this is made for sensitive skin. It has sunscreen in it. Whatever. If you want to go the next step and you want to do full coverage, go ahead. It's up to you. But I'm just saying, just as a beginner, if you're going from Walmart to Ulta, but you have sensitive skin and you have to be careful, this is it. And of course, the people at Ulta and at Sephora will also help you. It's just, this is just a video. This is just information. You don't need to worry about. So I've tried this, and this is freaking awesome. And I've also tried this on my grandmother, on the back of her hand. And this has done really well on her. It didn't break her out or anything. She has very sensitive skin. She also has melanoma, which is skin cancer. So this lasted on her. This is good. And it also has sunscreen so you don't get melanoma. Kids, don't go out and go tanning salons and stuff. Don't do it. Spray tans are better. Don't do it. Oh, that was a long talk. Okay. Next is concealer. I'm breaking out for some reason. Oh well. So next is concealer. So I'm going to come closer. This is going to be kind of close. Okay. You can't tell with all these lights. So concealer is for people who have dark circles under their eyes. Basically everyone. But what it is dark circles are not just you being tired or anything. What it has to do is with your skulls. With your skull. So, this is my eye hole. Okay, I don't have a picture of a skull. But we'll use my face. So, this is your face. Okay, you see? Face, eyeballs, mouth, nose. Okay. So, what it is you have your eye holes here. Right in here. These are your eyeballs and your lids and stuff. But under here, where your dark circles are, everybody's skull's different. So, where this... You see where I'm pushing? That's my eyeball. That's the end of my eyeball. Underneath that, there's like an empty space. So, your eye socket. That would have been a better word. Eye sockets. So, where you have that empty space in your eye sockets is where your dark circles sit. So, depending on your face and on the size of your eye sockets depends on your dark circles. Now, I am awfully tired. So when you are tired and when you obviously you see your dark circles because that's your eyeballs. Right? So people use concealer to cover them up. Now I use two. A lot of people use one. Some of them use none at all. I don't know how, but they use nothing at all. So with concealer, it's basically a specifically made makeup product that is used to cover up dark circles. Now, some people have dark circles so bad that they have to use color correctors. Now, color correctors are basically colored concealers that are used before you apply your makeup that are used to cancel out certain colors on your face. So, for me, we'll use me as an example. So, I have red skin here, red skin here, red skin here. So what it does is it uses the idea of the color wheel to cancel out colors on your face. So I have red skin right here, right here, right here, all everywhere. So in order to cancel out the red, I would look at a color wheel and use the opposite color, which is green, to cancel out the redness. So I would use green color corrector and cancel out the redness. Now, for under eye circles, it depends on the person. So some people have like a purplish hue under eye. So they would look on the color wheel and they would look on the opposite side and it would be yellow. So they would use a yellow color corrector. And if you have bluish hue under eyes, then it would go towards a peach or orangey kind of corrector. So it all depends on you. Now, I know for people who have darker skin, usually have a bluish hue to them. Or if you're a man or you're into drag makeup, a lot of times they add orange and peach to their beard area in order to cover it up because their 5 o'clock shadow has like a bluish hue. So in order to cover that up, they put orange or a peach corrector. Now, people who have darker skin tones normally have bluish hue under eyes in general. So they put peach under their eyes. Now, people who are white as a ghost, like me, normally have purple under eye circles. So we use yellow. I don't normally use a color corrector, but see, I pack on makeup like a drag queen, so. Now, for concealers, that also depends on your skin. So if your dark circles are really bad like mine, you might want to use 2. If you don't have that big of an issue, you might want to use 1. Or if you're perfect and you look like a supermodel, you might not need any. But for concealers, they're also matte and more of like a creamy concealers. So that was not proper English. I forgot I even said it. And there's also medium coverage and full coverage and light coverage. So light coverage, it's basically like skin, but not your skin. It's very thin. Medium coverage, it's thin. You can still see a little bit of your imperfections, but it's still covered enough to look natural. Full coverage is like, is gone. There's nothing there. So, and also with older people, one thing that I have noticed is dewier foundations, dewier concealers, dewier stuff looks a lot better on them to cover up wrinkles or crow's feet or whatever, It's just better for them to use dewier foundations because the dewiness kind of covers up all those wrinkles and stuff. It's just better. Now, one thing that I have noticed, even when I use one concealer, is that my under eyes crease like that. So, if you have that issue, you may just have to blend it and then immediately set it with powder. I'll get to that in a minute. But I personally crease very easily, so I have to set it immediately. Some people don't, and they're lucky. But for people like me, I don't have that. I wish I did, but I don't. So, another thing to keep in mind is powder. So there's 2 types of powders. There's pressed powders, which are, this is for example, this is the infallible one. This is a new one. I haven't opened this yet, but this is a pressed powder. This one is in a little compact. And then there are loose powders, which I've used 50 million times. Every single video, basically, I've used this. So, I've used loose powders in general. So, this one is the Coty Airspun. This is the one drag queens use. Right here. See that? Very rare to find anymore. Even though it smells like perfume from my grandma. I mean, it smells good. Kind of. Anyway. So this is a loose powder. So as you can tell, this one had a powder puff in it. But it has powder in it, and you just sprinkle it out in the lid, like I do. And then you just use a beauty sponge and you put it on your face. I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video. Okay. When you are applying foundation, if you are using a matte or a dewy foundation, actually, take that back. If you are using a matte foundation, your best friend is going to be a beauty sponge because it soaks up all the extra product. So this is my beauty blender. Okay, it's dirty. Okay. This is called a beauty blender. This is $20. If you are on a budget, don't buy this. There's the Real Techniques one, which was my orange one. I had to throw it away. But it was an orange sponge. But this is my other favorite. Well, these two. I use both. Occasionally. This one's for something else. This is for powder. Anyway. It depends on what shape you like. So this is my EcoTool sponge. I use this for foundation occasionally. It is super soft. This is one from Morphe. This was $8. Smells good. I forgot. It's got powder on it. That smells really good. Anyway, this is $8. This is budget friendly. The Real Techniques one is $6. This, I don't remember because it came in a kit, but it's not that expensive. So, if you have a stick foundation, your best friend is going to be a brush. Some people use sponge, some people use brushes. It depends on what you like. You would have to experiment and try. Man, it smells gross. It smells good, but gross. Okay, so this is the IT Cosmetics brushes specifically made for Ulta. This is the number 115. This is the Airbrush Complexion Perfection. Okay, so this is the angle brush. This is what I use. Okay, it's dirty. I use this for my stick foundations because this blends out stick foundations like a dream. This is it. See how those bristles are? And there's also two different types of brushes. There are natural... How would I say that? There are natural hair bristled brushes. Ooh, that's a tongue twister. Which basically is natural hair coming from either human, horses, animals, of some kind. With natural haired bristled brushes, they soak up product like that. So you would normally have to use a lot more foundation. Now, a lot of my brushes are synthetic, which means they're plastic bristles, which means that they don't soak up product because they're plastic. So this is my favorite brush for if I'm using a matte foundation or a dewier skin foundation. I just like that. And that's it. I mean, I haven't used it in a while, and I just recently cleaned my brushes. I have to clean them again, but this is it. And this is a dense foundation brush. Some brushes are loose, or and really flimsy, and some of them are dense, like this one. It's all on taste. Not on me. It's on taste. So when you put on powder for your under eyes and for your face, whether you are using pressed or loose, if you want more coverage for your face, or if you want it to really soak into your skin to make it last, a sponge is your friend. It still smells good. Sorry. This is the EcoTools one. This is the dark green one that everybody hates. This is really, really good for powder, and it really pushes into my skin, as it just did. I don't need that on my skin. I just cleanse my face. But anyway, if you want more of a lighter coverage, say you have drier skin, and you feel like powder is going to just cake up on your face, then a brush is your best friend. And what a brush will do is you just brush on powder. You just dip it in and just brush it on. And that's it. The reason why I have both of these methods is because obviously people have different skins. So if you have oily skin and you want your makeup to last, the best advice I can give you is taking loose powder, dipping your sponge into it, and you need to use a sponge. You can't use brush because brush will not work. It will not make your makeup last. Trust me. You use a makeup sponge, you dip it in, and you pounce it into your face, and you push it in your face. And you make sure that it stays. And the best way to do it is what the makeup world calling this method baking, which is basically where you basically let the powder sit on your face for like 2 to 3 minutes. Some people let it sit for 5, and then you take a brush and you wipe off the excess. And what that will do is that will set your makeup in place for the day. If you have drier skin, brush is going to be your best friend because it's a lighter version of powder. Your face isn't going to look drier than what it already is. What the powder will do when it's lightly applied with a brush is you'll still have a dewy finish, but your face won't melt off at the end of the day. Or it won't come off. It's still dewy, but it's controlled dewy. Right, so I covered that. If you have combo skin or normal skin, obviously this info doesn't... the oily and the dry are the two main skin types. But if you have combination skin, say you have dry skin here, oily skin here, then obviously, you would use a drier foundation here. Actually, your best option would probably be to mix. Like, I mix foundations. I mix matte foundations with dewy foundations all the time. So, and any skin type can do that. If you have oily skin, but you don't want to look matte, you can add a little bit of a more dewy foundation to it. It's chemistry. It's all your body, what you like. I can't, and this is just basic information, so you all get an idea of what to do. Okay. Now, talked about concealer. Eyebrows. Okay. So with eyebrows, it depends on everyone. Some people like to use a pencil. So what a pencil does is it has a lighter coverage and you have more control. It's very thin. So this is my Anastasia Beverly Hills one. But most pencils of higher up, I don't know about drugstore. I think drugstore has it too. Yeah, because I have my Maybelline one. Okay, so the pencil's usually pretty thin. Oh, this is a brow definer. There's also brow definers, which are like in between. Okay, this is the brow pencil. Okay, you see how thin that is? Like, that's thin. So this is the pencil. So it's super, super thin. So what it does is it gives you control and for you to get very defined brows. And this is what we call a spoolie. It's a little spider web looking thing. So what that is that blends it in so it doesn't look like you drew on your brows. Basically, you blend it. That's all I can give you. Now, if you want dark brows, like if you're feeling yourself and you want dark Instagram brows, pomades are your best friend. If you want that look. Now, I use pomade. This is the Anastasia pomade. This is pretty creamy. Like, you have to be extra cautious with this stuff. And, I have a certain brush for that. But if you're going to use pomades, it's best to use a brush. You will have to buy a separate brush for it. It's basically in a pot. So I have this one. And so with that, you take that brush and you draw on your brows. Now the thing with pomades and the thing with pencils is with pencils, it's very light, very defined, very natural looking. If you go with pomades, you are going to look like Instagram, like, okay, like superstar with the brows, okay? Very dark, very bold brows. So it's all on what you like. Yeah. So, mascara. I mean, it's mascara. If you want mascara, put it on. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different mascaras that mascara just doesn't matter to me a lot. Not a lot, but sometimes I put on lashes, so I put mascara on first. Lashes. I can talk about lashes. Okay, so for lashes, I have a whole bunch that I have. Oh, that's upside down. So there's those. And then there's these. And there's these. There's a whole bunch of different lashes. If you're not comfortable doing lashes, don't even worry about it. If you have long lashes, you don't have to worry about it. Now, I do have long lashes, but because I wear makeup so much and I only wear mascara a lot of the times, my lashes are falling out. So, I have to wear falsies sometimes just to give my eyelashes a break. Now, there are plenty of videos on YouTube on how to apply lashes. Plenty of them. I'm not even getting into it. There are plenty that you can find in another video. I mean, it's not hard to do. It's just when you're a beginner, it takes a lot of practice. With makeup, it takes a lot of practice. So once you practice, it's just, you'll be able to do stuff like so quick. Okay, so I covered everything pretty much. Blushes, that's to your own taste. Bronzer is to your own taste. Contours to your own taste. I don't even contour that often. I mostly just use bronzer and blush. Highlighter. That's what goes on the high points of your face. So on your nose, on your cheeks, on your chin, on your cupid's bow. Some people put it on their foreheads or above their brow. I put it above my brow sometimes. Basically what that does is it shows off your highest points of your face. And it's basically what supermodels wear. They have highlighter on their face. Your face already kind of has like a natural glow, like mine has that little glowy spot right here. Yeah, I can see right here. So your face already kind of has like a natural outline of where the highlight would go. It's just to, see it right here? That's just to intensify it. One last thing, or two things. So for lips, there are liquid lipsticks and there are regular lipsticks. Regular lipsticks, you already know what those are. Liquid lipsticks are liquid versions of lipsticks, but there's always two kinds. There's matte, and then there's some that are not matte. Matte liquid lipsticks stay on your lips. They're matte. They're stuck to your lips. They're like, unless you eat greasy food or something, but that's with any lipstick. A lot of people wear liquid lipsticks because it's more convenient. So if you're out, say it's like 100 degrees outside, and you have a regular lipstick, you know it's gonna melt. If you have a liquid lipstick, you don't have to worry about it because it's already liquid. That's it. So that's all I'm getting into with that, because honestly, it's all to personal tastes. If you like regular lipstick, go ahead and have it. If you work at a workplace where you want your lipstick to last all day, I would say go with a liquid lipstick, mostly a matte liquid lipstick. If you have dry and crusty lips, you can take a lip scrub, or you can just go ahead and wear a liquid lipstick that isn't matte. That's all on your own tastes. Last thing, are setting sprays. Okay, so I have a lot of setting sprays. This is not my only collection. So for setting sprays, there are matte setting sprays and there are dewy setting sprays. I know this is getting really repetitive. Obviously, matte setting sprays are going to keep your face matte. Dewy setting sprays are going to keep your makeup on, but you're still going to look dewy. That is all based on your skin type. That's it. Now, throughout the day, if you notice a foundation doesn't last as long, or if you start to look cakey, like where you get your pores are showing and like your skin, like your makeup's coming off and you can see where it's coming off, if it's flaking, like your makeup just doesn't look good, my best suggestion is to go out and get a revival spray or a setting spray. You can use setting spray. I use this. This is the Pixel Vitamin Makeup Mist. So what this does is you can use it before makeup, or another one I can show you. This is a higher brand one. This is the MAC Prep and Prime. This is 6+, basically. That you can use on your face too. But this one is drugstore, so this is a little bit more affordable. I have a review for this too, so check that out. It's on my channel somewhere, but this is good. So basically throughout the day, if you notice your makeup's getting cakey or it's just not looking good, spray this. This is what I call a revival spray. So what this does is basically it melts the makeup back into your skin and it will make your makeup look like you just applied it again. Now it does thin it out just a tiny little bit. Tiny bit. But if you're full coverage like I am, it don't look nothing happen. But this will literally revive your makeup. And it's really, really good. Really good. If you don't want to use that and you want to use a setting spray, fine. It works just the same. I just prefer that one because it's more dewy. So if you have matte makeup on that starts to look cakey, it kind of looks more natural. Yeah, I mean, that's all the info I can give, you know, because honestly, everybody's just different and everybody has different tastes. I just have me. I know what I like, I know what I don't like, and you know, and I have been trying to get, you know, into the industry of makeup and to do people's makeup. It's just very hard because, you know, you can't please everyone, and also all of my materials, other than my eyeshadow palettes and stuff, and the different setting sprays, but as far as foundation and concealer, those are only to my shade of skin. So, I mean, some of my concealers are dark on me, so, you know, that could give me an advantage somewhere, but, you know, yeah, so that's all of the info I can give. I hope this is more of an in-depth guide. You know, so if you're going to go to Ulta or Sephora, you know, be ready to pay, because you will pay a lot. The thing that saved me is I got the Ulta credit card, and I also got a JCPenney card, because Sephora is in JCPenney, and I've used that one, because it's basically the same stuff. It's Sephora. I also have Sephora Rewards, which helped too. So if, you know, with Ulta and Sephora, you know, it's, pretty much, you know, I'm sorry. Oh, So when you go through Ulta and when you go through Sephora, you do have a point system that you can use later on to get discounts off. So for me, like say you get like 1,000 points saved up, you can get like $17 off or $50 off your next charge. So yeah, just keep that in mind. The cards are definitely worth it, especially if you're an upcoming makeup artist. If you're like me, that's just a huge makeup enthusiast, and that uses up a lot of makeup, that's your best friend. That's your best friend. Yeah, so that's all the info I can give. I hope that is enough info for you to go off of. I'm sure that throughout my videos I give little advice tips, so definitely go check those out. You know, not trying to get people to watch my videos, but I do happen to give advice throughout my videos. So, yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you want to. If you want to subscribe, that's cool too. And I will see you guys next time.